Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Shalsabila Maulida. I'm from Biology Education A. Okay, well, here I will explain the result of my resume about ecosystem material. Ecosystem is an ecological system formed by an inseparable reciprocal relationship between living things and their environment. Ecosystem as a whole and comprehensive unity between all elements of the environment and influence each other. Ecosystem as an amalgamation of each biosystem unit involves reciprocal interaction between organisms and their physical environment so that their energy flow toward a certain biotic structure and the material cycle occurs between organism and inorganism. The sun as the source of all energy in the ecosystem, the organism in the community develop together with the physical environment system. The organism then adapts again to the physical environment. On the other hand, the organism also influences the physical environment for its survival. Ecosystem components are part of an ecosystem that makes up this ecosystem itself to form an ecosystem. The components in the ecosystem are then divided into two types, namely living components and non-living components. In addition, living components can be referred to as biotic components, and non-living components can be called abiotic components. Each component has different members. Here are more details about gametes. 1. Biotic components. Biotic has the meaning of life. The biotic components in an ecosystem is the living thing itself, because the ecosystem will never be formed without living things in it. The existence of living things then form a food chain in an ecosystem. Some examples of the biotic components that exist in our environment include A. Eutrophic or producer organism, are referred to as producer because these organisms are able to make their own food. They even make food for other organisms that live in the ecosystem. Producer will then make food by absorbing inorganic compounds and substances which will be converted into organic components through a process known as photosynthesis. B. Heterotrophic organism or consumer have different characteristics from the first organism. These heterotrophic organisms obtain food from autotrophic organism or producer and will eat other heterotrophic organism. The composer or the composer are, are the last group is are the last group of biotic components in an ecosystem. The composer of the composer are organisms that describe the remains of living things are heterotrophs or autotrophs that have diet. 2. Abiotic components. The second component in an ecosystem is an abiotic components, or components that are not living. In other words, the abiotic component is a component consists of objects that are not living things but are around us and influence our survival. Several types of abiotic components, namely temperature, sunlight, water, wind, air, humidity, and many inanimate objects that play a role in the ecosystem. Here are some of them. A. Temperature, a biological process that is influenced by change in temperature. For example, mammals and birds, and living things that can regulate their own body temperature. B. Water. A water of a water availability can affect the distribution of an organism. For example, organisms can adapt and survive by utilizing the availability of water in the desert. C. Salt. Concert on salt will affect the water balance in organisms through osmosis. For example, in some terrestrial organisms that can adapt to the environment and their salt content in quite high. D. Sunlight. Intensity and quality of sunlight will affect the photosynthesis process. Because water is able to absorb light so that the photosynthetic process can occur around the sun surface. Okay, so much explanation from me. Thank you. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.